Welcome to the 4th episode of Before You Play in Granblue Fantasy Relink, where I will be teaching you the very basics of each playable character in the game. In this series, we will be covering the character's basic kit, their skills cooldown and durations, their openers and combos, and as well as some tips and tricks for your convenience. Each episode we will talk about different characters until we cover them all. We will have a separate video for the best in slots and best build for each character soon. In this episode, we will talk about Rosetta, the beautiful rose with thorns. Rosetta's gameplay is unique compared to other characters since she is the only character who can summon something to attack enemies. She is strong but never on par with damage-focused characters. I would say Rosetta is a good sub-DPS character, perfect for people who want to play support and DPS at the same time. Nevertheless, she is powerful if used properly. Let's start off with her kit. As I mentioned, Rosetta can summon roses that can attack enemies on its effective range. Rosetta can summon one rose as default, but once you upgrade her mastery tree, you can have up to 3 roses. Now let's talk more about her roses. Rosetta can place roses by pressing your special attack button. You can also hold it so you can manually place it somewhere else. There is a 1-second delay whenever you plant your roses. Additionally, the animation for planting roses is long, but you can cancel the animation by planting another rose immediately or dodging when Rosetta have a green outline on her. When you plant a rose, you will see a number with a circle on it and another circle on the floor. The number indicates the level of your rose. The max level for your roses without mastery upgrade is level 3. Once upgraded, you can have up to level 4 roses. The level of the rose indicates the times it will auto-attack, meaning level 1 rose will only attack once, and level 2 rose will attack twice, and so on. Your roses will level up every time they hit an enemy, both its auto-attack or during skill attacks. It will take several hits before the rose levels up, but at the max upgrade of your mastery tree, your roses will immediately level up the moment it lands a hit on the enemy. The circle around the level number indicates the lifetime of your roses. It will refresh every time it hits an enemy, and once the gauge depletes, the rose will wither. The rose will also wither if you stray very far from it. The level of your rose will also increase the rose effective range, which is the circle on the ground. The effective range is your rose range for auto-attack and skills. Any enemies inside it will be hit both by the auto-attack of the rose and any skills you cast. Keep in mind that your rose auto-attack can only hit one enemy at a time. Additionally, the color of the effective range will change depending on which buff you will be applying to your team. Green means nothing, yellow means defense, blue means regen, and purple is attack. The buff is party-wide and you don't have to place it under your teammates, but there is a limit where the buff can reach your party member. Try not to stray far from your roses to keep the buff. I believe the range is times 3-ish of the level 4 effective range area, and let's call this as her buff effective range. Now let's talk about how we apply the mentioned buffs. Since Rosetta's kit also relies on combos, we will talk about combos first before her skills. For reference, I'll be referring to square or left click as basic attack and triangle or right click as special attack. To apply Rosetta's buffs, you need to choose which combos to execute. She have 4 combos overall, with 3 of them applying the buffs and the last one for damaging. She can only apply one buff at a time, so make sure to apply what is needed in the current situation. The first combo is your defense dance. To execute this, do one basic followed by one special attack. This combo will apply defense up buff to your allies within the buff effective range. The next combo is regen dance. Do 2 basic attack followed by one special attack. This will apply a regen buff to your allies within the buff effective range. For the last buff, the attack dance. Do 3 basic followed by special attack. This will give an attack up buff to your allies within the buff effective range. The last combo she have is the Thorn Dance, which is 4 basic attack followed by special attack. This one commands your roses to create a mini explosion within its effective range, creating additional damage aside from the basic attack. The explosion will only occur once regardless of your rose's level. When you are dealing damage using Thorn Dance, you can execute it faster by skipping the 4th basic attack animation. Simply dodge right after clicking your 4th basic attack, then quickly follow up with special attack. This is 2 seconds faster since the 4th basic attack animation is a slow spin that takes a lot of time. Doing this doesn't lose any damage since all her basic attack is a single hit. With this mentioned, you can also skip animations when applying buffs by cancelling your basic attack with dodge, then heading straight to special attack. This is not advisable, however, for defense dance and regen dance, since cancelling it will make the execution time longer. While on attack dance, the execution time difference from cancelling and not cancelling is just small, so it's only best done on Thorn Dance. Last thing you need to know is her link attacks. When Rosetta does a link attack, you can still continue your previous combo by dodging and doing basic attack again. If you press attack after the link attack, it will head immediately to a combo finisher and applying whatever buff the combo gives. If there are no previous combo input, pressing special attack will just plant a new rose. So make sure before you do a link attack, you should remember if you're doing a combo or not. With Rosetta's kit fully explained, we can now talk about her skills. She have 8 skills with 4 offensive skills and 4 utility skills. Let's start with the offensives, with Spiral Rose first. Spiral Rose is a multi-hit attack around Rosetta that requires channeling. Rosetta also orders her roses to attack with Spiral Rose, which deals skill damage. Moving while channeling Spiral Rose will cancel your Spiral Rose, but your roses will still continue casting their Spiral Rose. The level of the roses won't change the damage of the skill, but only affects its effective range. The skill is one of Rosetta's constant damage sources due to its short cooldown and high damage capability. The duration of Spiral Rose is 3 seconds, and the skill has a cooldown of 30 seconds. The next skill is Lost Love. Rosetta commands her roses to explode. The explosion range is the same of the effective range of the rose, and the damage will increase depending on the level of your rose before explosion. After the explosion, the roses will then be replanted on the same area, however it will start at level 1. Additionally, if you don't have any roses planted and you use this skill, Rosetta automatically plants a level 1 rose in front of her. This skill is a very strong nuke attack of Rosetta, so make sure to cast this at level 4 roses to maximize your damage. This skill has a long cooldown of 1 minute and 40 seconds. The next damaging skill is Rose Tycoon. This skill replants your roses towards your target in a Venn diagram position. This skill also inflicts enemies with poison damage over time that lasts for 15 seconds. Rose Tycoon is a very helpful skill to quickly replant your roses to the enemies when they move around. This skill has a cooldown of 30 seconds. The last offensive skill would be Iron Maiden. This skill grants Rosetta Iron Maiden buff and Stout Heart. The Iron Maiden buff allows your roses to perform a follow-up attack similar to your Thorn Dance. This occurs every time your basic attack lands on enemy. Both works on aerial and ground basic attack. It's ideal to spam aerial basic attack when you use this skill since the aerial animation is faster than ground. Both buff last for 15 seconds and the skill has a cooldown of 1 minute and 45 seconds. Now, moving on to the utility skills with Sillage at first. Sillage is a gap-making skill that teleports Rosetta backwards away from your current position. During the duration of the teleportation, you are invulnerable to attacks. After you teleport, you place a rose below on your original position, and that rose will have +1 on its level. This skill is useful to get yourself away from trouble and for quick repositioning, and this skill has a cooldown of 10 seconds. On to the next skill, we have Mesmerize, a skill that forces enemies to attack your roses. This skill will order Rosetta to taunt enemies inside its effective range. A very good skill to draw the enemy's attention away from your team. The taunt lasts for 10 seconds and the skill has a cooldown of 2 minutes. The next utility skill is Rose Barrier. This skill grants allies damage cut buff of 10%, which increases by additional 10% per level of Rose, at max of 40%. Like the permanent buffs you can apply, the damage cut buff can be obtained as long as you and your ally is inside your buff effective range. The buff lasts for 25 seconds and the skill has a cooldown of 1 minute and 45 seconds. Lastly, we have Bouquet. This skill instantly plants the max roses you can plant in front of you in a Venn diagram position. The roses will start at level 1, and if there are already existing roses, replanting them will give them +1 on their current level. After replanting the roses, Rosetta will provide a heal and cleanse to party members inside your rose's effective range, and the heal amount will increase based on your rose's level. This skill is very useful for repositioning your roses and giving sustain to your team. The skill has a cooldown of 1 minute. Now that we are done with skills, let's head on to the last part, tips and tricks. The very first thing you do need to know is that the roses auto attack scales on your basic attack damage, not skill damage. It only becomes skill damage when your roses cast your skill. Keep in mind that some skills doesn't apply to Rosetta's roses. Skills such as Cascade, Combo Booster, Supplementary Damage, Weak Point Damage, and Roll of the Die doesn't work on roses auto attack. Instead, the roses benefit more on crits and crit damage and flat attack increase. When playing Rosetta, having roses planted on your enemy is very important. Make sure your roses are always placed near your enemies so you can maximize your damage. Using Rose Tycoon speeds up this process and allows you to dish out damage faster without having to place them yourself manually. Remember when to time your Rose Tycoon against enemies that moves a lot. You would want to be patient before using the skill so you won't miss and have to resort to manual planting. Another tip is to make sure to utilize your buffs. Rosetta has access to multiple buffs. Make sure to always apply the right buffs at the right moment. For example, don't let it stick on regen buff when your whole team's HP is at max. And using death buff during boss mechanics can sometimes save someone's life. Another tip is that Rosetta's Spiral Rose can be cancelled right immediately after casting it. If you are far away and casting it for your roses, make sure to dodge immediately to maximize your window time. Similarly, try not to cancel it when you are near your enemy, since 4 Spiral Rose Barrage is stronger than 3 Barrage plus Thorn Dance combo. A very important thing to know is to always do Thorn Dance. Since your Thorn Dance is very strong, doing buff dances for damage dealing is never ideal for Rosetta, since reapplying them won't stack the buff. Instead of doing the same buff dance repeatedly, do Thorn Dance instead to dish out lots of damage. Your Thorn Dance will also work even if you don't hit the enemy during the dance. This is good when you are far away and only have a small window to deal damage. On smaller windows like quick stuns and staggers, it's better to continue doing Thorn Dance than to run towards the enemy, since by the time you got near, the enemy would have already recovered. Lastly is to keep your distance. Rosetta is a mid-range character. You don't have to be always close, and make sure that you're not very far away. When playing her, you can stay at an optimal range that can hit the enemies while being safe from enemy attacks. That's all for Rosetta in this video. At first, she may seem too technical to play, but once you get the hang of her, she is very fun to play and very simple to understand. I hope I helped you understand Rosetta better in this video. If you have questions and suggestions, make sure to comment it down below so I can respond to you. If you stick out up to the end, I would like to say thank you for waiting for this guide. I wasn't expecting the video to be delayed this long. I got very busy with IRL stuff, so that's one reason for the late video. Nevertheless, thank you for being understanding. If you have requests for a guide on a certain character, let me know below, and I'll make one for you ASAP. I promise. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you on the next video.